Hello and welcome to Dragon Age Season 3, Session 23 Epilogue. Woo! We survived so far.
We're still alive.
We almost
I don't
died, or someone else died.
Okay, one person almost died. But
Almost.
Yeah, someone almost killed someone.
Yeah.
look, in my defense, it was someone I thought it was someone else. So
And
Your
not to mention,
defense,
like,
you were
you improved your willpower, but it's only 3, so.
yeah, I think I rolled like a 20 for like my willpower's of this. Like my willpower's of this one. That was a pretty good roll. I'll get. Now I have a +4, so that's a 7.
I was going to ask, how did you determine which of us attacked someone and who was going to be in their room? How did you determine that, Hark?
Who was going to attack someone? So I knew that, well, purposely I knew that I wanted to give Tyrion a little bit more things to shine. So I specifically wanted this to be a Tyrion gets attacked in the middle of the night. And so I was trying to set things up for him with Nathan, like not quite foreshadowing, but he was foreshadowing. I think one of the last things he said to Tyrion before he saw him again was, "I trust you with my life."
Yeah.
And so I was kind of setting that up.
Look, for good reason. No, that was pretty good.
Yeah, and I set things up, the difficulties of the target numbers that you needed with your perception rolls. I set it up based on where you physically were on the map. Mm-hmm. So that's why I was specifically asking, where do you guys want to be? And then the willpower save at the very beginning was only technically for Tyrion, but because I was trying to hide what I was doing, I asked everybody to roll.
Everyone to roll. Yeah, it makes sense.
But only Tyrion mattered. But the perception roll mattered for everybody. Mm-hmm. So,
which means that if we're going by like Cepheus stats, we need a 21 or so on willpower, maybe. Which means that Tyrion, you got a crit.
Shy by 1.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was so, and that was my high. That was like, I think, a 2 6 and a 5. That was my highest I could get. And
yeah, you need 3 6s to succeed.
3 6s to succeed. Yeah. I mean, hey, look, it's you build what you build, and I mean, it makes
Don't
sense.
worry. As soon as I give you anti-magic ward, you'll have a +5 to that bonus. So you'll have
I'll be fine. I got a +4 also from the friendship bonus, BFF. BFF.
The Madmen of Zazakel, or Madmen of Chaos, is meant to be feared. Yeah. Like, he's meant to be powerful, and even the Black King himself seemed to consider the Madmen of Chaos probably the most frightening one, which is like, he was like, run.
Run.
That means... Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, when you said, it's not the Forge Right, it's Nathan, I felt like that one clip where it's that guy and he goes, "Okay, welcome," and then someone off screen punches him and he just goes, "Oh, I can't believe you did that." I felt like that video. I was like, no, Heart. No.
Look, Nathan's not dead. He just got injured by a bullet, and I managed to pull it out anyway with my chakra. So he's alive.
Out of curiosity, Sam, what's Leon's second specialization?
I didn't. I just took an extra
wow.
Talents.
Okay, so it's a really good thing I picked Spirit Healer then.
Yeah, because I was thinking about that, but I was like, but it doesn't quite,
Yeah. I've just gotten so edgy since the start of this game.
Yeah.
I was prepared for Nathan to die. I wouldn't have wanted that to happen, but I was prepared for Nathan to die, which would have been a huge blow to Maximilian, considering not only is he dealing with all these airship-powered Qun, but he's also dealing with the death of his son. And I also was prepared for Leon to sacrifice himself if necessary. I was prepared for Leon to die.
We were lucky we had a spirit. We had someone who could revive. So
yeah, you needed a spirit healer. So
yeah,
fortunately, Daretham did not roll badly in his perception roll. So.
Yep.
I mean, I rolled a 9, so that was pretty bad, but...
Mm-hmm. Well, no, but the thing is, I also shot. Like, I think if I didn't shoot, I don't think I would have made a difference. firing a gun. So and I also made a hearing check to make sure like if I get deafened, I got 22. I think I was fine. But for everyone, I was like, yep. Then you shoot because I need to warn everyone. So I think that was a decent strat.
Sometimes the healer's hands are the bloodiest. Sometimes.
That's so like that was last session. I was like, the foreshadowing also. Damn
That's
it.
what's foreshadowing it. Sometimes the
It's gotta
healer's
be-
hands are the bloodiest.
Man, the doctor has to be the one who's doing the damage. Damn it. Well,
So now we gotta decide who we gotta kill first. Out of all the
Yeah.
Scythian
Madman Zaska.
Madman.
Madman. Madman. We gotta
Focus.
focus. We gotta
Focus
focus
on
fire the
Madman.
Madman because the problem is I don't know about the others in terms of what they're like, if they can bloodslave or not. The Madman definitely can and can fuck with us. So I think if we can focus fire the Madman, we need to do that.
Though I will specify that the books from Fortuna was saying that the people who can do Bloodslave specifically are the Madman, Corypheus or Cepheus, and the Appraiser. Because that makes sense because he's the slave one.
Yeah.
There was no mention of Bloodslave with the others.
Two.
Yeah. And for the Forge Rite, I think I might actually be able to lock him down with a Paralyze. Or something like that.
I doubt it. Is that con stamina?
Oh, it might be con stamina. But either way, the DC is still 24, which is hard to beat.
It's hard to beat.
I think the Forge Rite of Fire, who's someone who sounds like literally the warrior version, like. Just take a guess.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of thinking, even just a daze don't work because that's willpower. So I'll probably try to, or maybe Power of the Taint him, so that way he's attacking us and such.
Then it's probably for the best that Cepheus was dealt with, like back in session 19, because we would have had 3 blood slaves to fight.
Yep, 2 blood slavers. Yep, definitely. Also, let's look at the other parts of the session because there's a lot of good ones today also.
Yeah, like I said, it was really nice to have the Leon Daretham or Themiel talk, which I kind of didn't put off and forgotten about, but it was nice to bring it back in.
Yeah. I've been wanting to have that for a while, but it would have probably been more impactful earlier in the season.
Yeah.
But, whatever.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to really think about when you can slot a scene in when you move at the broke paceness that we have to for the campaign.
Yeah.
I'm excited for the final fight though, because I got a bunch of new spells that I get to try out.
Sling it.
And Callista has a bunch of new spells she gets to try out.
Damn warrior mage.
I feel like I fell into the baited trap with the final fight, honestly.
Yeah. I feel like bringing Balin will help. Like, I don't think that was a ruse.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I don't think it was a ruse. I think it was genuine. They're like, I really hope they don't bring the Guardian of Fire for whatever reason.
It is a little bit weird, unless they're sort of trying to make a ruse so that they can get their magic easy. Because the Region of Fire, it pretty much has the reduced
MP, and if the Guardians brought that,
increased MP,
Radius gets rid of that. So.
Yeah. But it's for us. Pasha and Russo got that was a doozy.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
That was very well done.
Callista, you remember when we had a private chat like 3 months ago?
Yeah.
And I said I had one other thing that I thought could happen, but I didn't know if I'd do it because it'd be the real dick move to do.
Yeah. Was this the dick move?
Yep, and Dom had to talk me into doing it.
Dom! How could you? J'accuse betrayal!
I don't regret anything.
How dare.
That was still interesting though, if dick move or not. That was still that was some good pointers, I have to say.
So the thought process with that one was that I'd actually been sitting on that scene since Tevinter. I didn't know a good place to do it or where it would really fit up until we did the crossover. Then we came back. Then when Pasha became a mage, I was like, bam, this is literally you've denied yourself the Kyun. And you really can't argue of the point other than, yeah, I'm basically just committing like full suicide at this point going back. And that was why I saw Russo having to get way more like firm lined about it than when he was back in like session 17, where it was like, I disagree, but ultimately, like, if you have to do it, you do it, and I'll still remember who you were.
I think Pasha has a plan. Pasha is very secure in her plan working. She just wishes that because clearly Pasha's going to go and seduce every higher up in the queue. That's clearly Pasha's plan. It's what she's done every other time. She's just, I'm a seduce my way.
Would you say it's
you can't say no to this?
Pasha's passion?
My biggest question for Pasha is, with whatever plan that Pasha has, does the fact that the Qun is now attacking Ravane complicates it at all? Does it make it harder or easier or neutral?
I think it does make it harder because ultimately Pasha is like, I want the Qun to be friendlier. And it's very difficult to be like, we're friendly. Please ignore the fact that we waged war on you last week. Please just ignore that. So I think she's kind of like, Azra, you dumbass, what are you doing? Now I've got to come and kick your ass. What's happening? I didn't want to do that, but now I have to.
I mean, to be fair, like in terms of the dumbass stuff, the Qun has a stellar production line and production industry. So, like, as good as Ferelden would be at churning out Gatlock, I bet you the Qun would be far better at churning out airships, and they already have plenty of Gatlocks. So, it is not the dumbest move.
Looking at the oh, good.
I guess the bigger question is if the Qun suffers from the problems that like total communism suffered from in like IRL, where like because you have everything standardized on the same base, it's much harder to keep production going versus other places that have more like centralized or privatized production.
And also, like if we look back at sort of like some of the history of the timeline of Dragon Age, I mean, the Qun have invaded in the past, but they did eventually have to pull out at certain points. One of the biggest points in history that one of the other reasons they also had to retreat was due to the Felicia Armada, which was a lot of pirates were hired by the Chantry to essentially like a fight ship the Kunari ships, and they managed to essentially force them to retreat to Parval and Saharan. Ravane is a little bit unknown, and yeah, that was there is a way the Kunari can be beat. They've lost in the past. Doesn't mean though they're not gonna like. They're gonna continue until like their mission is pretty much done, and then they go to some other unfortunate area and bring their ways to their land. So it's a possibility, but
I will say I'm curious why Ravane, because in terms of like in terms
because
of tactics,
the
Water Guardian and also
that is
Ravane
fair. That
where
is
the
fair.
Kunari.
Like, here's the thing, is if they capture the Guardian, it pretty much puts, like, the whole treaty moot because they have all the resources they lost.
Like, I would have expected them to go for a different region, but then again, if they capture Andrea, then yeah.
Yeah, and
also
then,
yeah, that is huge middle finger to Andrea, and totally 100%. That is their main goal, is to get the Guardian of Water. Mm-hmm. That's totally their goal.
Yeah, and then they don't even really need Andrea if they can at least like get far enough to where they can secure most of the water in the region that's like needing to be filtered or other stuff. It makes them not as reliant on Maximilian.
Yeah.
The other thing too is the Qun was probably smart enough to realize that once Maximilian's term is over, who's really going to want to work with them from Ferelden?
Yeah, and also Ravane has had some Kunari like issues here and there.
There is the settlement of Kontar, which is a Kunari settlement in Ravane that remained fully like, no, we're Kunari now. Screw the Chantry. We're Qun people now.
Yeah.
So
it was about
like a forward base that they can just be like, and y'all can go on ahead and we'll come over. It's fine.
Yeah, I was about ready to say, didn't like a good portion of Ravane just up and convert to the Qun?
Yeah. because the Kuhn and Ravani beliefs actually gel very well, whereas the Ravani beliefs in the chant are kind of like, no, does not mesh, does not go well.
I'm really curious to know like Maximilian's reaction when he hears, yeah, the Kuhn completely violated your treaty and really don't give a shit about you anymore. Now that they've gotten what they want from you.
Well, they're not attacking Ferelden.
They're not attacking Ferelden, but I do love it because the Kuhn is just being like, hey, listen, we didn't technically violate the treaty. We're not attacking you.
To be honest, to a certain degree, I think Maximilian's gonna take an issue, but also I think his relationship with the Guardian of Water isn't very
good.
Right.
Yeah,
Him
last
and,
I remembered,
right.
They're not the best relations. So he's probably gonna do something. He kind of has to. He might not.
Oh, just say, I mean, in a world, I could even imagine Maximilian joining the Kunari. Like attempting to do a full alliance, but that could work out very poorly and probably would if he did that.
Well, like I said, what probably spurred the attack more than anything, where they started listening to Azra, if she is the one that took over the position, is that the elected monarch of Ferelden, as described in Season 2, is a 10-year position. It's been 10 years since Season 2. Most Fereldans aren't going to really have the same sympathy or wanting to work it out with the Kuhn, so it's like the situation was just a powder keg from the start.
I did like what Baum said at the end, comparing the Kunari to the Blight, how it's just a case of they're going to go do what the Arashok tells them to do, and they're not really going to think about it. They're just going to go do it. And I liked that. I felt bad, but I liked it. I was like, that's very apt.
Yeah.
That's honestly kind of ironic, as the Kunari shows up and we basically summon a Darkspawn army to like push them back.
The army that defeats you. It's the Darkspawn. What?
Yeah,
it's
you have
like
like
o'clock, bitches.
Yeah, I could just imagine like there was like maybe a castle or someplace that's trying to be defended against, and then much like at the end of Battle of Helm's Deep, over a ridge, like you see Darkspawn arriving and everyone's going, "Oh no, it's a new Blight!" And then the Darkspawn charge and attack the Kunari, and they're speaking and they're using battle tactics and commands, and then you see Razakale and stuff, and then everyone is just going, "What's going on?"
They go, "Okay, help the Darkspawn." Anyway.
It's a Darkspawn running on ahead with a megaphone being like, "We are cool. Please don't attack us. We are cool. Do not help. We're here to help."
And plus, that means we don't have a blood-slaved ogre to deal with, which I love Bone, but that was probably going to happen.
Like I said, this is where we find out he also has a communication stat of 1, and diplomacy's just not going to work out.
Baum is very intelligent, though, so I think he's well-spoken. I'd like to believe he's well-spoken.
It's more of a joke more than anything.
Yeah.
Plus, he can bring the Black King and the other people who are the leaders and more diplomatic.
True. Very true.
And as much as it does screw over the Kuhn, it is pretty much the best window to get the Darkspawn, like, good relations if they're going to come to the surface.
Yeah. That proposal was not something I foresaw. So that's really cool that was a surprise to me. Another thing that I did not foresee was Violetta end up joining the final battle. Mm-hmm. I did not see that coming. So
yeah, it's good willpower.
Should be fun. Family vacation into the
into
Black City.
Absolute madness.
Do you have to make a stat block for Violetta now?
I think she already had one.
She already had one from 2, so.
Yeah.
Well, on the bright side, anti-magic ward lasts until the end of the encounter, and the only way I can fail at casting anti-magic ward is if I roll a 0 on my dice. So it's impossible to fail unless I fumble.
GG.
So at the very least, everyone will have everyone will have a +5 at the very least.
Some other interesting roleplay happened today, also.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What scene happened next?
Oh, I think it
one
was.
quick question was the little voodoo doll just like communication, or is that like a new item?
The voodoo doll was. There's probably more to it than just a sentimental object.
Okay.
And maybe it'll be useful in the next session. Maybe.
Okay, I was just a little curious because I was like, this feels like an item dump.
She didn't give you an explanation as what it does or what its purpose is, so you could ask if you really want to.
Yeah, I mean, she's coming now, so we could ask. We could just ask.
The intern had a very small bro fist chat. Bro.
Yeah, I like talking to all the characters about their plans afterwards, and I still don't like Tyrion's plan. I mean, it makes sense for his character, but he's just gonna go die. That's no fun.
What goes back to the winter and hope at go to trial? I mean, if my prediction is, because I think this happened last session, he goes God mode, and he goes in the trial. He's originally, I think he didn't want to do that because he felt like, because then there's no real punishment. But then after thinking actually it can, because it's interesting to have a god go do a trial of to winter and all that, and so
I am a slave who escaped on my own with some help, who came back, who murdered my master, and who now became a god. So I am above all laws, and yet I'm submitting myself to a winter court.
Yeah,
it's a powerful statement.
Yeah,
but then and then it sets a precedent for putting gods on trial. So are you expecting me to go to a trial?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are. Next time, don't touch with blood magic, boy.
Or minimum serve and jury duty at minimum.
Out of everyone talking about their god plans, the character was terrifying me the most. Man, I'm gonna have all this power, and it's gonna be so exciting and amazing.
I mean, who wouldn't? It's like a kid in a candy store, Ooh, I want this and I want that.
I'm sure Tyrion will get visits from Tumble. He'll probably deliver him a cake with a nail file in it or something.
he just put it into a pile of nail files he's got there. Just I mean, essentially, I'm looking at Tyrion the god of Mater from the Dungeons and Dragons world is how I saw it last time. I think he's the god of I forget. I don't know if it's perseverance. I forget what he's amazed, but he's endurance. Yeah, but there is his art is essentially him in chains and rags, and he's the god of life, and so that's the idea I'm sort of going for. If that's one route, if I go god mode and do that, the other option is I still demigod and become a doctor and do what I did back in session 1, so session 2 and all that. I hope the Pirates tyranny was actually interesting. I felt I might have effed up. I felt I might have effed up the first part of me trying to get an understanding of pirates, because I was trying to sort of tell the pirates you're not just a tool, you're a person, and yeah, it doesn't really help. It's just it's kind of odd consoling that it's pirates didn't ask for.
Yeah. No, I know you're gonna die, but before you die, I just want to let you know that you have feelings and that you're a person.
And
I'm really glad that
you're about to die,
Iris, because he'd been uncharacteristically silent mostly. Yeah. I feel I have time constraints. And it fits too, because he's essentially having to be wow, my multi-thousand-year existence is at its end.
And I like the end, me just saying the request that he already requested me, saying, "Do you want me to be there and when you're destroyed?" And he's and I was a little bit surprised when he said yes, but I was okay, well, I'll do it. So.
If you did not have that conversation that you had with him, he probably would have said no.
No.
But because of your conversation, it probably made him think twice a little bit and thought, you know what? Yes, I will answer yes to this question.
Sorry, I also like Rosie's suggestion for how Pyrus is going to... Because it's a good out, because the main reason why no one wanted Pyrus to exist is the blood magic. So if you just remove that...
I don't think it's just that.
Oh,
really,
well,
it's I think it's that also he's a sentient book,
created with blood magic. So.
The best thing that the Circle Major could do now is lock him up in the vaults, because that's where they keep all the artifacts and all. And I think like I don't know in the Magi origin there was like that talking to Winter statue down there, so they've kept artifacts like that there. But probably I imagine they're just gonna like knowing Cedric, he's probably gonna get destroyed no matter what. So that's why Tyrion suggested he go and like I'll at least be there so you're not alone.
Well, maybe I'll make my own circle.
There you go. He might make his own circle of
With
Templars.
blackjack
circles.
and hookers.
So it's gonna be
There we go.
the Black Templars. There you go.
Yeah.
And I also will say that I'd like probably in the epilogue, obviously, but I'd like to have like Daretham and Pyrrhus have a scene, because Daretham would just like to address it, because if he feels pretty bad, and he at least wants to like let Pyrrhus know that I kept your kids like as much as I could. I kept your kids from being part of the ritual and killing them and such.
I'm just happy at least Russo told me. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, all he had to do was talk to Leon. He doesn't talk to me at all.
No, he said yes to all the things. Like you can talk to Leon and you can take him to the circle.
The other interesting thing is if like they do go the path of like taking Pyrrhus's pages out, what kind of effects is that going to have to him?
Ooh,
Mhm.
yeah, that's.
I mean, would that be like the equivalent of him having like a brain hemorrhage because you're just ripping everything out of him?
Like a heart transplant or something. Yeah.
Probably.
What about the seal that Amryn did to Pyrrhus? Maybe we'll do something similar, but then like burn the bookmark.
Well, then the question, because what that did was lock away memories, it didn't take away pages,
Well,
as far as I remember.
oh, okay.
Problem is Leon though is you have to go against Tyrion's request that he told if you want to do that, and also you have to overrule Cedric and
Well, I'm already on Cedric's bad side. What's one more thing?
you're coming against me.
Oh no.
I mean, if Tyrion succeeds to get into Circle Magi, maybe like I said, maybe he walks up to Cedric, so like like maybe he's like he lets in to Mr. Russo. Russo had sent you about the book. Here it is. I would like to burn it myself.
All I can imagine is someone going up to Cedric and being like, "Hey, this blood magic artifact that you'd really like to destroy? Could you like not, please?"
Could you just not? That'd be great.
Yeah, that'd be great.
We turned it into a perfectly innocent cookbook. Like, it's fine. Now, occasionally it says, like, stab your cooking partner with the butcher's knife, but then we cross that line out. It's fine. It's fine. Like,
Just don't spill any blood on it.
I don't know. Do gods have the power of pardoning, the way like the U.S. president has the ability to pardon people?
Not tonight.
Cedric recognize us as God.
I guess
though.
so, but you wouldn't have the ability to overpower that pardon like you can in U.S. government.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't read much about mythology, but I guess like if you considered, gods could pardon certain individuals depending on the world. I guess.
I mean, like logistically, it really shouldn't be that hard. Oh man, you're in prison. I got you, homie. Then they just teleport them somewhere else.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, I will say in terms of that, like that whole consolidation of power in one person, I would not choose to become a god. I would like demigod and then go back to normal. Like I wouldn't even keep like the level of power Daretham has. But Daretham was convinced, like through the dreams and such, like it's better if I do this. So,
I mean, that's one of the things.
It's sort of things interesting questions up.
That's one of the things I brought up. I think with Leon, like like having all this power is risky business and all. Like because what Tyrion knows is about his master. Like someone who has more power, he's gonna do depending on the person, can do some good or bad things. And yeah.
something that I found interesting about what Tyrion said is that he kind of indicated of like, oh, if you have power, you don't need to deal with consequences, which is true. Like, you don't need to deal with consequences, but you should deal
But
with
you should
consequences.
no, I agree. You should deal with consequences. Like Tyrion doesn't disagree with that. Like the reason he's afraid of it because of like that power. Like you'd have a lot of power. Like it's not necessarily you don't have consequence, but the things you do with that, whoever has it can be good, bad. Like it's gonna, it's there. It exists. I mean, he knows it because of his master. Then technically, yeah, his master had no consequence other than I guess the master's consequence was his only slave killing him. Yeah, so that's the big consequence there.
I was just gonna say what's the saying? Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Something like that. Words to
Probably.
that effect.
There's something that I'm forgetting. Also, I like. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
I like the thematic element of the first blight happening in the Anderfels, and now the Siderials, the people who caused the first blight, ending their battle in the Anderfels. It's a nice little thematic circle there.
I really love that final scene with Athon that Russo and Athon had. Mainly because I felt like it was just beneficial for both to really reflect on being like kind of expelled from where they came.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it was good.
At the beginning, I was expecting like Athon and Rousseau to like continue having a close relationship throughout the campaign, but it just didn't work out that way. So it was really nice to like revisit that.
I'd like to think that happened off screen. It just like we were so busy whenever like the sessions were going.
That's actually true. You're right. That's true.
Especially considering like the two lived together for about like 5 months.
Right. Yeah. Same with Naraka and Pasha. I'm sure they got close too. We just didn't actually see it on camera.
The limits of having 25 sessions. Balin. But yeah.
What do you
Balin? What about Balin? What about Balin?
I was just worried about him. Like worried what's gonna happen.
The Hala is gonna be called Tyrion, possibly.
No, that's gonna be called Hannah Navarra. Fact, Hannah Navarra.
I dropped that name there to sort of like Tyrion's idea of just like those whole families called Tyrion. It's like, you know what, use Tyrion. Continue that line if you wish. There you go. So I'm not the last one in the lineage.
I will say if Balin ever asked Daretham about a name, he would think about it and then he'd answer Ember.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a couple ideas for names, but I was like, this is Balin's animal. He deserves to name it.
I'm giving him suggestion. Tyrion has. Oh my good lord. No, the jokes today is
Yeah, and then so far it looks like the only one that's decided relatively not to ascend is Russo, which is about how I saw it going.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
No,
that's totally fine.
I'm not like mad about it. I just found it interesting that really only one person out of the party is like, maybe not.
I'm good. I've considered it. Like I said, it's just whichever one we'll see.
Like,
it's not off the table entirely for him to ascend, but I feel like where he's at, he's probably not going to.
Yeah, I expect like at least one person maybe to ascend. I didn't know who, to be honest.
And then the one other thing I said is that he might even take it a step forward and just get rid of the dragonfly in general. I don't know if it'd go that far, but I've debated it.
That will be in order to. Well, one of the choices, if you wanted to full on not be a demigod, then that would also entail releasing the avatar powers. Yeah. And the dragonfly would leave, and the dragonfly would seek a new host.
Yeah.
That host would then be given the opportunity to ascend. Hopefully, it's a good person.
It's okay. I'm just gonna go tell Daz Trula just shut down the trials. So, like, this is the closed bar of Ascension.
Nobody can become a god. This is it. Nobody can ascend.
Not taking any applications. Come back next week.
Come back
I
in
think-
like 2 Eterni.
And what were we gonna say, Sam?
I was just going to ask about theories on why Balin is required.
I really don't know. I feel like that was halfway a trick that I, in character, fell into.
I have
Oh.
no theories. I don't know. My only theory is more the thing for us is more going to help us because I think if you have the Guardian of Fire near us, doesn't that
There's
remove
no
the
mana
penalty?
penalty.
Yeah, there's no
Yeah.
mana penalty and there's no like regional buffs. It's just gone. So
The other thing is, doesn't Andraste have like Andraste's fire or something like that? So maybe Balin can use some of Andraste's like divine power to help fight for us, or
lock or keep away the magic side drills so the rituals interrupted. Possibly anything could happen.
Also, there's
I'm-
the question of. Oh, go ahead.
with the crystal ball and the grown-up Balin with the fire sword, that's got to come into play somehow.
I mean, we've already had time travel. Maybe.
Oh no, Balin goes in the future and comes out with a flaming sword.
We're gonna terminate this. It's gonna be like the Terminator.
Oh no!
No.
Father, I have to tell you about the future. I have to
I
tell
mean-
you about...
I mean, Balin already broke one code as an adult. He's wielding a sword. He needs to wield a hammer.
That's true. He
True.
really dropped the ball there.
I guess someone can object to that.
I mean,
Ah.
low key, the only reason Russo went from like using a sword to a hammer growing up, because I did allude to the fact they did have a sword before, like sessions
Yeah.
ago, was
You did.
after he beat that guy to death, it's like, yeah, this is me. I'm just owning it at this point.
Mhm.
I mean, hey, it's like there's not many players who play a Maul character, like a character with a freaking.
And I
bludgeoning
feel
weapon.
like that's a much more like violent form of attack that you have to be okay with and just bludgeoning people down.
Oh yeah. Oh, like yes, cutting swords are always good because you can make someone bleeding, but bludgeoning someone and breaking their bones.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Which is kind of ironic considering Russo really hasn't killed a single enemy this entire campaign if you really like do the math.
Hey, really?
Really?
I thought you killed the dragon.
No,
Once.
I have yet to kill an actual dragon in a fight.
I thought at the very beginning, like the first session, you'd gotten a dragon, but
Nope. That was
Nope.
killed by Rosie for me. I think I killed the skeletons when I played Valor in session 6. And I think I've killed like
Okay,
2
fair
minion
enough.
enemies, and that's been
Fair
it.
Fair enough.
Oh,
Well, we'll see.
yeah. I will say on a Balin theory, the only thing I can think of is if Balin can make the region like not be affected by the whole weather fire stuff, he could also make the region more affected. So like if it's a lot of mana or a lot of ritual stuff to try to tear open the veil, if he can increase the mana cost to a point where like just it gets to such a high degree that it's hard for the magisters to both fight us and do it at the same time. That's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head, though.
And he will spend the whole fight strapped to my back, not leaving.
It's full of Mandalorian, this shit.
Couldn't the reverse be true? That they have compensated for the lack of magic, so they're doing something really intensive, and if the Guardian of Fire were to appear, it would just completely strip, the thing, and they're like, oh shit, this is horrific. We're now
What are
dealing
you
with
doing?
this.
Interesting question, Hark. Can the bracer diminish as it creates too? Or is it just a one-way flow?
When you say diminish, you mean
Like, can
have
you
the
further
effects of-
diminish the region that they're of?
To take more power.
I'm sure if the wielder wants to do that, they have the ability to if they roll. Yeah, I would say so.